Solar says, how did you structure the portfolio purchase for legal fees?
Yes. Okay. So on the email that was sent out about this evening's webinar, we promised to mention a deal that I completed on last week. So I should probably give you a bit more information about that, so you've got an idea of what that's all about.
Yeah, you was all excited about that last week and you forgot to mention it.
Well, yeah, it's because that was a week ago. Lots happened since then. More deals are going on. So.
It came in with champagne and all sorts of things.
Yeah.
So, do you want to start from the beginning and sort of come through your deal? Now you've done a deal with no money down deal with £1 million profit in it.
So it's a £1 million portfolio rather than £1 million profit. So we have 5 properties that were valued at just over £1 million in total. Now I don't, as a rule of thumb, normally buy new build properties. It's not my main focus. However, I was working with an agent buying another property, which was a HMO, for one of my clients, and as quite often happens when you're building relationship with agents, they say, thanks very much for buying this property from me, I've earned some commission, I've got this other property deal, would you like to buy this too? So I was introduced to a developer who had just finished building 5 brand new show homes, and this was before COVID, so this was back in sort of February, beginning of March. Met with the developer and looked at the prices that he had. Now his goal, if you can imagine, a developer has got a big plot of land, he's going to be building hundreds of houses on this big plot of land, so he's built 5 immaculate show homes to show to people, because he wants to obviously, get all those houses sold as quickly as possible once they're built. Now he's tied up obviously £1 million worth of property, which normally show homes tend to get sold at the end after the whole development has been finished and they don't need the show homes anymore. So he was interested in selling them to me and then renting them back to use them as show homes over the next few years, and I put a deal together where it wasn't going to cost me any money out of my pocket, and I decided to joint venture with one of my clients. And so his out-of-pocket price was just the legal fees. So if I give you the short version of how it was structured, the original agreement was that the developer would loan 20% of the value of the properties to one of our other companies on the same day that we were buying the properties. So effectively, we would get 20%, so just over £200,000, which meant that we would be putting in just over £200,000 into the deal, plus stamp duty, plus legal fees. Now, normally with most lenders, you can't buy new builds on 80% loan to value. They generally want you to put a 25% deposit minimum down. However, due to the relationship that I had with the broker and the lender that did this particular deal, we were able to negotiate and get an in-advance agreement before COVID that it would be an 80% loan to value and only 20% deposit into it. So initially, as the deal was set up firsthand, we were going to have to pay the stamp duty and the legal fees, but not the deposit. Then lockdown came along just before we had the valuations done. So, I'm showing you the good and the bad of this scenario, because the bad side was now we couldn't have a valuation because all the lenders went into panic mode as soon as COVID hit and we went into lockdown. None of the lenders were doing valuations, and everything pretty much got a freeze on it. Now, after X number of weeks, the lender decided that they were going to start doing desktop valuations. However, I refused to have a desktop valuation because I felt that that wasn't going to be good enough for them to actually, assess it. So I actually held out for a little bit longer until they then decided they're going to start doing real live, visit the property valuations again. And as it works out, it was worth waiting because we got them valued up. After COVID, after lockdown came out and they started doing valuations again, we got it valued up at 100%. So there was no down valuation on any of the properties, which was great news. However, the bad side is they did down value the rentals figures that we'd given them. So what that meant was they were no longer going to give us 80% loan to value on all 5 properties. However, I think it worked out that we were going to get 80% on about 3 of them and about 75% on 2 of them. So I decided to use this as our negotiation point to go back to the developer and renegotiate the terms, and we ended up agreeing that we would get 25% loan from the developer, interest free over the period of time, and we got all that agreed, changed the heads of terms, set up a new agreement, and what that meant was it actually worked out that that new figure would cover all our deposits and the stamp duty, and I think even a bit of the legal fees. So I don't think we actually even paid the full legal fees on it in the end. So that is a sort of quick, in a nutshell, hopefully explained that well enough for you to understand that we ended up putting some money in, getting the money back out in a different vehicle, and the actual only cost out of pocket was a few grand for legal fees, which didn't come out of my pocket because I gave that job over to my business partner to pay the legal fees.
Okay, so £1 million portfolio at 0 cost.
Yep, just a few legal fees.
But you didn't sell that on your sourcing business?
I didn't sell that one, I decided to keep that one.
Okay.